So, Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. I know that we were supposed to see the return of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, but that got taken off, and it's almost like the UFC had to give us a couple extra fights to make up for it. Because whether Conor's in his prime or not, that still probably would have been a treat to watch a main event, just to see Conor McGregor come back. Win or lose, I honestly think Michael Chandler would have given him some problems we didn't expect. However, here we are. Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka is the main event, and just to add a little extra as compensation, Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega. Now, I'm going to be honest, Joe Pyfer's fight was the one I was most excited about. Now they actually gave me something that I'm way more excited about, because you got Diego Lopez, who had a very close fight with Movsar and has been on a tear. A tear. And I'm one of those guys, when I see one of these hot prospects, every fight, does the hype train end here or does he keep going? The hype train's kept going after that Movsar fight. He didn't lose his confidence, and now he wants to take on one of the top contenders in Brian Ortega. Probably before he fights either for the title or before he fights Movsar again, which I think he should fight Movsar a second time, because I think his chances would be better. He knows how to feel him out. He could probably catch him early and close out the show. All I know is Diego Lopez has swag. But Brian Ortega is in that realm, though. And this is the thing. With Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega, I want to see Diego Lopez keep going. But I also don't want to see Brian Ortega get stopped, because seeing him upset and prove all the doubters wrong in his rematch with Yair Rodriguez was definitely something worth watching. Let me tell you a story. On that very night of that UFC pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, it was a UFC fight night in Mexico City, where it was a co-main event. I actually had dumped my ex that day, okay? So I didn't realize that the universe was going to use that fight to speak to me. And was I upset that I had wasted so much time on that relationship? Yes, I was. But I was not upset about losing the relationship. So me and Brian Ortega were kind of in the same boat. I know a lot of people are saying that Ortega, cheated on his girlfriend, but that's not the point, okay? I mean, I was pretty faithful. So I guess it's kind of just me living vicariously. But I get home, and then I invite my boy over to watch UFC afterwards. And while we're sitting there having a boys' night, just kind of like watching the UFC, I watch Ortega upset the MMA world, where you definitely know his ex-girlfriend's watching. And you know what I said? I feel inspired to keep on going after watching that fight. So there's a little bit of personal vicarious living through with Brian Ortega that I am actually going with right now, where I don't want to see him lose to Diego Lopez, but at the same time, because it's Diego Lopez, I kind of do. I don't know, man. It's hype train versus my ego. Deal with it. Get over it. But yes, this fight is going to be very fantastic. But I will say this. If Ortega is able to get Lopez to the ground, I know that Lopez's jiu-jitsu against Movsar seemed all right, but you could tell Movsar just wasn't fazed by it. And Movsar is more of a wrestler, so ground fighting style. But Ortega wants to finish you with a really bad, nasty submission. If he gets Lopez on the ground, it's game over. If Lopez stays on the feet, game over. Now, MMA math might just be upset, because who knows how good Diego Lopez really is, or who knows? What if Brian Ortega catches him in the stand-up? But this fight is definitely what I'm looking forward to most on UFC 303. Let's go. Peace out.